In this video, we cover one of the most important functionalities of Excel, which is essentially freezing contents of a cell while using it in a formula. Now, we'll understand the relevance of this and the importance of this as we go along. But this, in a sense, is one of the critical understanding parameters in Excel if you're going to build long, big, detailed models, because this can significantly enhance your efficiency while doing that modeling exercise. We have clubbed it under data representation because eventually it's in a form of representation that you're looking at. Let's say we have data for a company which is given where sales for 4 years are given in rupees crore, raw material cost is given in rupees crore, and salary cost is given in rupees crore. I want to find out what is the raw material cost as a percentage of sales and what is the salary cost as a percentage of sales. Now, logically, something to be represented as a percentage of sales, if I have to calculate raw material cost as a percentage of sales, that's 28899 divided by 42645. I'm using these two numbers. So that gives me the raw material cost as a percentage of sales. For this number, it will be 2431 divided by 42645. That's what we are looking at, right? Let's calculate one or two of these. So let's just do a quick calculation. 27,142 divided by 35,849, and it doesn't come in the correct format. So I have to convert it to percentages. Now the problem that occurs here is that, remember, Excel copies formulae, right? So if I actually were to do a control C here and do a control V here, what it does is it automatically shifts the reference to the next cell because it copied the formula. Here the formula was cell C7 divided by cell C5. Here it became D7 divided by D5. Similarly, I can drag it again on the right side and it will become E7 divided by E5. So logically, as I'm dragging it on the right side, it is doing what it is supposed to do in terms of calculation or movement of the references automatically. That's good for us because that ideally is what we wanted to do. But note the problem that happens if I actually do a control C and try and copy and paste it here. What I get is an error. This is called a divide by zero error, is because now it is dividing 1278 by 0. What happened? When we dragged this down, both these references, C7 became C8 and C5 became C6. Now C6 is 0. There's nothing in C6, right? So we want it to divide or point still to C5, right? So one way is we do it manually and divide it by C5 and get the number as 4%. So that's one way to do it, but that's not the neatest way to do it, right? Suppose we have hundreds of rows and hundreds of columns. Is there a way we can copy and make this formula work in such a fashion that it automatically moves downwards but does not distort the formula? So note, my problem statement is when I move downwards, I want to ensure that C7, which is raw material cost right now, becomes C8, salary cost. But I want to ensure that C5 stays where it is. It does not move, right? How do we do that? For that, you need to press the first, double click this so that the formula is shown. Click on C5, put the formula there, click on C5 and then press F4. Press it once, right? So what do? We click on C5 and then press F4 once. So click on C5, press F4. What you see interestingly is that there are two dollar signs that come in front of both C and 5. Now let's press enter. Nothing changes in the formula, but if you now double click it, it'll show C7 divided by C5, but there's a dollar sign both in front of C and in front of 5, correct? Now let's see what intriguing thing happens. When I drag it downwards, remember earlier it was giving a error. It was giving an error of divide by 0. Now it doesn't. If you double click it, what it does is it takes C7 to C8, when you drag it downwards or copy and paste it downwards, but it freezes the content of cell C5, right? So what it does is, in a sense, when you're dragging it downwards or copying and pasting the formula downwards, one part of the formula, which is referencing a particular cell, has been frozen at this point of time, correct? So that's what the freeze function does. However, so this solves our problem when we are taking it down vertically. Let's see what happens when we take it on the right side horizontally. It gives us a number 74%, but now it is distorting things a little bit. You see that the formula has been frozen once again to the sales of the previous year. So if we are moving rightwards in terms of our data, we are dividing this year raw material cost by last year sales. I don't want that to happen. I want the reference to change to D5, correct? So what do? I can either again do it manually, or let's understand what is happening here. So when you take C and when you take 5 and when you put a dollar here and when you put a dollar here, understand that this dollar is freezing what is the column, and this dollar here is freezing what is the row, right? But I may not need both row and column to be frozen. See, if you remember, when we dragged it on the right side, there was no problem because C7 by C5 became D7 by D5. So we have no problem there. Only when we dragged it downwards, we wanted C8 by C5, but that became C8 by C6, correct? So we want to freeze what is in C and 5. We want to freeze only the row number. We don't want to freeze the column number, so that when we copy and paste it on the right hand side, it automatically moves C to D, D to E, and E to F eventually, right? But when we move it downwards, we want that the sales row stays fixed. Now, if we are saying that the dollar sign is going to fix things, then let's try out a few combinations. We could have C5, in which case both are not fixed. We could have $C $5, in which case both are fixed. We could have $C and 5, in which case column C is fixed but 5 is not. Or we could have C $5, in which case the column is not fixed but the row is, right? Now, if you think about it, our problem statement says when we drag it downwards or we copy and paste it downwards, we want to freeze row. That's our problem statement. So we definitely want to put a dollar in front of 5. We don't want to put a dollar in front of C. That's what our endeavor would be. So let's try and do that now. Double click this again. Remember, we pressed F4 once. We pressed F4 once. What did we do? We selected C5. Select C5 and press F4. Now again press F4. Press it once again. So when you press F4 once again, see what happens. $1 sign, which was in front of C, goes away. Now we only have a dollar in front of 5. That is our desired state. Let's do it once again. See what happens. It toggles once again and takes the dollar in front of C and removes it from 5. And if you press F4 once more, it reverts you back to the original state. So the F4 button, once you have selected C5, is giving you what you really want to freeze. You can either freeze both, you can freeze one of the two, or you may choose to freeze none. Right here, we have to reach C $5. Let's see if this works. Right, so we drag it down. 4% stays 4%. That is correct. I can copy this and paste it here and paste it here. So now I have copied and pasted it. Randomly, let's select one of the set and see if the formula selected is correct. It seems that the formula selected is correct. Correct. Let's select this one. See what's happening here. Raw material cost of that particular year divided by sales of that particular year. Salary of that particular year divided by sales of that particular year. Salary by sales of that particular year. Raw material by sales of that particular year. So what have we done? by ensuring that we put a dollar sign in front of the row number 5, because both of the numbers are trying to find cost as a percentage of sales. We want to keep sales constant. Sales is going to be the same for one particular year. We freeze the row number. When we freeze the row number, it doesn't move downwards, but we have, remember, not frozen the column number. It can move rightwards or leftwards. So we do this, and then I'll do it again once. Let's delete all this. When I select it, raw material cost divided by this number. Remember, we are on C5, selected C5, F4, F4, and enter. So this gives 76%. I can drag this on the right side. I can drag this below, and you see that all these formulae are correct. That is the power of freezing contents of a cell for a formula. Because Excel copies formula by default, it is necessary to be able to do this, especially when you're building larger models. This is a very, very relevant data point which helps us in terms of calculating this set. There are other examples of this as well. For example, let's say we have the price of a car, which is given as, let's say, 10 lakh rupees, right? And we say that this price increases. So rate of increase is given as 8% every year. So what is the price of the car after year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So in year 2, this will be 10 lakhs multiplied by 1 plus 8%, correct? So that gives me the price of the car here. But note what happens if I drag it downwards. It starts giving extremely distorted numbers, right? Why is that happening? Because now I'm multiplying 10 lakh 80,000 with 1 plus 10 lakh. I want to multiply it with 1 plus 8%, right? What do I need to do? I need to select C14. C14 is the increase. I don't want that to move. So I freeze C14, click that. And now when I drag it downwards or copy and paste it downwards, it gives me an 8% increase in the value of the car every year, right? So that's how I have ensured that every year the previous year's number is multiplied by 1 plus 8% by ensuring that 8% is frozen here, correct? Here we didn't need to freeze either row or column. We were okay freezing both of them. So we froze it there. Press F4 and the freezing of this works. Fine. That's how you freeze content or data in a cell while using it for formulas. Very, very important functionality in Excel. Do practice it a little bit.